Bradbury, I'm sure still a little bit surreal right now, going off a frozen faceoff where you get a split in St. Paul, but in the end, the 2017-18 season comes to a close.
Yeah, it is. It's disappointing to say the least, and it's it's tough knowing that this is a time of year that we usually play, and we're vying for championships, and it didn't happen this year, and a lot of things. Obviously, we're going to peel the layers back and really kind of tune into the year, what happened. But moving forward, starting our next year, as soon as we got off the bus on Saturday night and the Sunday morning, the next year starts, and we got to move forward and get back to where we needed to go.
All about turning that page quickly for the upcoming season, which again is going to be here probably before we know it. It's one of those things. Let's look back over the weekends back in St. Paul. Starting off on Friday, the afternoon game against St. Cloud State, knowing, hey, a win and you continue to control your own destiny in terms of NCAA tournament hopes, and your team played like that from the start.
Yeah, you know what? I think both teams were probably a little nervous, and going in an afternoon game there, probably didn't play our best 40 minutes, but found a way to get to the third period. And I thought we played well in the third period and a little bit of the overtime there until they scored the overtime winner. But that's the razor thin how fine line of winning and losing is for the whole year, and just couldn't quite get it done against St. Cloud. That would have been huge to win that game and play for the championship in the NCHC tournament. But again, we had to refocus for the next day and try to win one game.
That Friday afternoon game against St. Cloud State, back and forth. They go up one goal, you peg them back. This happens again, same thing in the second and third period. Just like in the 3 of the 4 meetings during the regular season, 60 minutes not enough to decide things between you two.
No, and we've been through that a ton of times this year, and we've had some good fortune of late in the year, but it's one of those things. You're playing against a very good St. Cloud team that has a lot of offensive skill, and we gave them a puck there with a free look, and they made a play, and they made one more play than we did, and on that night we needed to make that extra play and we didn't. So again, like I said, it's part of the way our guys competed. I thought they came out with a lot of energy and fight and vigor, but didn't capitalize on the situations. We had 5 power plays. I think we scored 1 goal on it. Just needed to get some momentum off those power plays.
Yeah, Cam Johnson, big for you in that game. It was 2-1 in the second period. He makes a couple of big saves to keep it that way.
Yeah.
He really finished his season playing some of his best hockey.
Yeah, he brought his A game the whole weekend there, and obviously that's for the stretch run too. And there was a focus there, and that's what he does. He's a competitor, and wears his heart on the sleeve, and we needed him, and unfortunately we didn't get the result we wanted on against St. Cloud, but he brought it, and he brought it the next night too.
Yeah, you mentioned in the overtime, a turnover in the defensive zone leads to a goal that ends the game just 2 minutes into the extra frame. You talked about it a moment ago. What did you say to the guys to try and get them to turn the page quickly from that defeat to get ready for a game that mattered on Saturday?
Well, that was probably the toughest meeting after that game, knowing that we needed to win that game for a chance to win the NCHC tournament and keep our season alive. There were still possibilities of winning one game with getting some help, but it was going to be a harder road. And the biggest thing was saying, hey, you know what? Put a good effort forward here. We can't be negative. We got to make sure that we focus on the next afternoon. It's a quick turnaround to play the next game. We need that game. Concentrate. It's just one game, and we have to win that game. And just getting our guys focused and not worrying about, okay, we just lost a game in overtime, which normally that happens. We got to focus our guys and dial them in for the next day.
Yeah, less than 24 hours later, back on the ice at the X against Duluth, and again, that was a Duluth team that had beaten you 8 straight times. But you came out, and again, you could see the guys were focused and were dialed in right off the bat in this one.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of things going in that. The message of winning one game and getting help around the nation. That was one thing, and the other thing is, beating a team against Duluth who, had our number for a little while, and having that fire to get it done.
Yeah. In that Duluth game, Austin Pagansky scoring right off the bat, the captain getting a goal in the first, another goal in the second from Joel Janatween. And there was just a little extra scrap and claw, it seemed, to your team, where Duluth didn't quite seem to have that push.
Yeah, you know what? I thought the push early, we were physical. We started the Simonson, Olsen, Smith line. They did a good job of getting us on our toes. And then Poganski scoring a 4-on-4 goal, that got us going in the game.
Yeah, special teams were key in this game as well. You mentioned down the stretch, you had a 2-0 advantage, and then the power play taking care of business to see things out for a huge 4-1 win. Had to feel good to give yourself that chance, knowing you got that win to keep that hope alive for an NCAA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. We said we got to control and win one game. We did that. Now we needed help from around the nation, and we didn't get that help from around the nation. Ended up 14th in pairwise, which normally gets you in. This year it didn't. There was a lot of upsets going on. But again, we talked about controlling it early in the season during the things where you have to close games out. We didn't close a lot of games out. We've had a lot of overtime games, tie games going forward. Needed to finish there. And again, that's going to be a point of emphasis going forward next year.
Saturday night after the 4-1 win over Duluth, you're on the bus ride back to Grand Forks from St. Paul. Everybody's checking their phones and trying to watch what's happening in the ECAC and Hockey East. Just talk me through what that mood was like when BU gets the win in Hockey East to eliminate you from postseason play.
Well, first of all, in the locker room, the guys were happy that we won, and there was jubilation there a little bit, but not to the point of an overall win. We knew we had to get help, so there was some reservation there. We get on the bus, watching a little bit, and the scores were going the right way, and then all of a sudden they weren't going the right way, and then it got pretty somber, and then there was reality set in. So it's one of those things where again, like I said, it wasn't a good night in the fact that we had to do what we had to do, but we didn't close the deal. There's a hunger there now. The guys came back, and we'll have an all new team next year, and we're starting from scratch again. But I think this resets us big time. Coaches, players, staff, everybody of what we need to do, and it creates a hunger within our group.
Yeah, well, we're going to continue the conversation about that hunger coming up on tomorrow's Midco Sports Tonight. Brad, thanks again for the time today. We'll keep talking in just a bit.
Thanks, Alex.
Kelly, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, guys, and congrats to UND on their season. Yet again, we had a blast at Midco SN covering some of the best college hockey in the nation. Well, when we come back, SDSU Wrestling has their first national champ at the Division I level. Hear from Seth Gross on his historic weekend out at the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships in Cleveland, and we'll also recap the SDSU women's basketball season. All of that next on Midco Sports Tonight.
Midco Sports Tonight, presented by Avera Orthopedics.